You and Bill have been searching the woods for nearly a half hour. The brush is thick in most places, so you keep to the spots where it is thinned out as you navigate the undergrowth. I don't know, Bill, you said in a whisper. They could be anywhere on this island by now. This shit is so thick they could be 20 feet away and we wouldn't see them. Bill seems to ignore you as he squints and pulls back some limbs to get a better view. He seems almost obsessed as he trudges forward. I think I see some light ahead, he whispers loudly and points. You squint and look in the direction he is moving toward, and you see a flicker of light through the leaves and vegetation. As you get closer, the light seems to emanate from the ground. A fire pit, maybe, you think to yourself.
Or hell!
The light shield sends shadows dancing up amongst the trees. The hair on your arm stands up, and you can hear your heartbeat inside your head. You both quietly move closer toward the light. You hear what sounds like two people chanting and speaking in a language you have never heard before. Both you and Bill are hiding behind a large tree and peering around it. You see Dr. Tansas and Lilith standing before a small campfire. They are wearing black robes with strange red symbols on it. Lilith reaches down towards her feet to a small sack on the ground that seems to be moving.
No.
The heck they doing? Bill whispers to you. His voice is trembling, and when you look at him, you can see that his hand is resting on the tree is shaking. Don't know, Bill. You whisper back to him, and then turn your attention to the Tansas. I don't think it's any good, though. No! I know, Ozzy. Lilith pulls a cat from the sack and holds it roughly by the scruff of the neck. Dr. Tansas raises his arms out and begins chanting loudly. In a flash, Lilith reaches to her waist and pulls out a knife from a scabbard attached to the belt. Without hesitation, she guts the screeching cat. The intestines from the cat spill to the ground. You and Bill let out a collective gasp. What the hell? Bill yells out. Dr. Tansas and Lilith spin towards you and glare. She seems aggressive, maniacal, nearly frothing at the mouth. Lilith points a bloody finger in your direction and screams, "They know! Kill them! Kill them!" Dr. Tansas bares his teeth and lets out an animal-like hiss that slowly turns into a growl. He reaches for his own knife in the sheath on his belt and pulls it out. "Rich!" Bill blurts out in fear as he takes a few steps backward, calling your name as if asking what you are going to do. You take a step backward with him, and you instinctively grip your axe with both hands in anticipation as to what will happen next. "Stay the hell away from us!" you yell at the Tansas as they advance.
No, run back! Get help! They
Yeah.
should have gotten help in the first place.
Yeah.
Or at least told people where they were going.
"Run, Bill!" You scream out loud and turn away from Tansas, who is rushing you both. You and Bill run away from the camp and into the woods. Tansas is hot on your heels. You have your arms out in front of you, trying to swipe back the branch and brush you bowl your way through. You can hear Tansas behind you grunting and breathing hard as he gives chase. At times he doesn't sound like a man, more like the deep grunts of a pig, you think to yourself. Bill is breathing hard and gasping. I can't keep up." Your own chest is on fire and your legs feel weak. You glance over at Bill and as you run and see that he is about to stop, he looks terrified as he gasps for air. You stop and turn to face Tansas, who is 20 feet behind you both and gaining fast. Bill stops and turns and faces Tansas as well. You yell, "Stop!" to Tansas. The doctor doesn't listen. He yells and raises the knife overhead as he comes for you. You swing the axe at him and he ducks down low. You miss and he slams into you and tackles you hard. You both tumble to the ground with Tansas ending up on top of you. It is a mad struggle for your life as you grab his wrist to keep him from stabbing you. Tansas hisses at you and speaks in gibberish as he fights to get his arm free from your grasp. He is incredibly strong, and you feel your grip giving way on his wrist. "Bill!" you blurt out as you feel Tansas' wrist slip from your grasp. With a roar, Tansas rips his arm free and raises the knife overhead. You place your hand's palm up toward him, trying to block the knife. Bill appears and slams the wooden end of the axe down against the side of Tansas' head.
The wooden end? Why not the blade?
I don't know. Tansas is sent sprawling to the ground. He mumbles an incoherent sentence before Bill kicks him twice in the face, knocking him out cold. You drop your head back to the ground, breathing hard and relieved. "Holy shit," you say as you try to catch your breath. You close your eyes for a second, and when you open them, you see Bill standing over you and extending his hand to help you. You okay, Rich? Bill asks with deep concern. You're about to answer when you spot Lilith emerging from the bushes behind Bill. Well, we know how this ends. Bill, behind you! You scream. Before Bill can react, Lilith cuts his throat from ear to ear. He drops the axe at his feet and grasps his throat as blood squirts out onto the ground. Bill! You yell out and watch him stagger forward a few steps and then drop to his knees. I know, Ozzy. Ah! Lilith starts chanting, which focuses your attention back to her. You look up at Lilith, and she is smiling a toothy, evil smile. In that brief moment, her face appears to change. It looks old, haggard, and wrinkled. Dear God in heaven, you say to yourself. Lilith screams and almost looks as if she is in pain. Do not say that pig's name in my presence, she yells as she takes the first step towards you, and you scramble to your feet. Stay back, Lilith, you stammer. You reach down and grab the axe from the ground. She smiles again and rushes you while screaming. You block her arm with the axe before the knife can sink into you. You grab her wrist and try to hold on, but she's incredibly strong, and it is all you can do to maintain a grip on it. She strikes your face with her free fist, and it stuns you for a moment. You nearly lose your grip on her wrist. You push her back to give you some distance. Lilith, don't make me do this, you yell as you raise the axe overhead. Your threat doesn't stop her. She rushes you again with her knife held high. Nice, good. Finally.
Good.
You have no choice, so you bring the axe down onto her head. It makes a sickening sound as it slices her skull in two down to her lower jaw. Blood from the wound flies out, and some of it hits you squarely on your face. You let go of the axe handle as Lilith falls to the ground. She lands on her side and rolls to her back, with the axe still embedded in her head. You gasp in shock and drop to your knees in exhaustion. You stare at all the carnage around you. Time slows down. You are breathing hard and filled with grief and horror at all that has just transpired. You look over at Bill, and he is not moving at all. His eyes are open and frozen in fear. The blood from his neck has stopped flowing.
Run!
Yeah, run back to the village. You see movement from Dr. Tansas as he regains consciousness. Rage overtakes you, and you yell and rise to your feet and pounce on him as he gets up on his knees. You tackle him down to the ground. He tries to struggle against you. You ball up your fist, and rain blows down onto his face. You don't stop until he doesn't move anymore. You are sitting on the top steps of the Tansas house, exhausted. The entire village community is gathered before you. Many are arguing amongst each other, but you are so deep in thought you can't really hear them. Your gaze drifts down to your axe propped up against the side of the house, a few feet away from you. The blood on the blade has dried. A soft hand placed on your shoulder causes you to flinch. You turn your head around quickly and see your wife sitting beside you. She slides her hand onto your back and rubs it in a comforting manner. You force a smile. You mimic her by placing your hand on her back. The sounds of people arguing slowly register with you. James wants to hang Tansas immediately. Marcus Tillman wants to let the sheriff decide. The two men hold James back as he's about to take a swing at Marcus. You stand up and say firmly, "Enough." Everyone stops arguing and looks at you, waiting for you to speak. We're not going to be hanging no one on our own. I'll go get the sheriff. He'll arrest Tansas. Tansas will go to trial. He'll be convicted. Then his fate will be decided.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, not by us, but by the law. Bill has been cut from... James yells out in a response. You don't let him finish. I know what happened to Bill. I was there, goddammit. Bill's killer got an axe to her goddamn head by me. All I could do not to beat Tansas to death was with my own hands. There has been enough blood spilled on this island. We ain't spilling no more on our own home. They can do that on the mainland if they choose. James bites his tongue and doesn't say another word. You and everyone else turn to the Tansas house when you hear chanting coming from inside. Your wife looks horrified as she stares at the windows to Tansas' bedroom. They have been boarded up from the outside, but there are gaps in the planks and you can see Tansas peering at you through the cracks. He is speaking in tongue again as he smiles at you. Tansas raises a wrist up to his mouth and bites down into his flesh. Blood squirts from his veins, causing Marion to scream out in horror and step down off the porch. "What the hell?" John blurts out as the others in the crowd gasp. Tansas spits out the clump of flesh and grins again and keeps chanting. He backs away from the window.
Burn the witch!
No, burn the whole building.
Yeah.
You and a few others rush to the window and peer through it. You watch as Tansas takes his other hand and smears it with blood from his wound. He then bends down and begins painting what looks like a circle on the wood floor. "Tansas?" You yell out in shock. The doctor ignores you and keeps chanting. When the circle is completed, he rubs his hand on his wrist to gather more blood. He paints a crude star in the middle of the circle. "Oh my God," James whispers to himself. "I know what that is. I know what he's doing." When Tansas lies down in the center of the circle on his back, you finally rush through the front door into the house. You try the door, but something blocks it. "I can't get in," you yell out. James looks through the window and blurts out, "He's got a door under the knob." Okay.
All I'm seeing when I look at this image is Ade Due Dembula. Give me the power, I beg of you.
Oh no. You run outside and grab your axe. James runs into the house with you. You hack at the door into Tansas' bedroom. Why didn't you just hack at the window?
Why didn't you just tie him up?
I don't know. His chanting grows louder, and he sounds like he is in pain now. 3 more swings with the axe, and you have a large enough hole for James to reach through and knock the chair out from under the doorknob. Oh, it was a chair, not a door under the... Okay. You kick the door open, and you and James burst into the room. You see Tansas convulsing on the floor. He lets out an ear-piercing scream that stops you and James in your tracks. A split second later, Tansas' chest explodes outward, sending a large spray of blood and gore high enough that it splatters on the ceiling. You and James cover your faces with your arms as some blood hits each of you. "Fuck!" James yells out in shock. You both stare at Tansas' body in shock. A moment later, you see 2 bony hands emerge from the gaping hole in Tansas' chest. Oh. Oh. The hands are rough and almost scaly, with lumps under the skin. The nails are cracked and jagged. When a head emerges from the hole, you and James turn and run for the door. When you reach the doorway, you both try to squeeze through at the same time. Once on the other side, you both turn back to the room. "What the fuck is that?" James screams, his voice
Set
trembling.
the house on fire.
Yeah, that's what I was... Just set the house on fire!
Set the house on fire! Who gives a shit at this point?
You hold the axe at the ready as you hear squishing and ripping sounds coming from the room. "Oh my God," you mutter repeatedly. You and James can hear something walking on the blood-soaked floor. It doesn't sound like boots on floorboards. It sounds as if a goat or something hooved, a goat or something hooved is slowly walking across the wood.
Just saying, we called it.
We did. You raise the axe overhead in anticipation that something will come through the bedroom door at any moment. Then there is nothing but silence. It is so quiet now that all you can hear is James breathing hard and the occasional drip of blood falling from the ceiling to the floor in the other room. "Rich, what in God's name did we just see?" James whispers loudly. You wait a while longer, never lowering the axe, expecting it to come at you at any moment. Another minute goes by before you take a tentative step toward the room. James places his hand on your arm. "What are you doing? It's still in there. Don't go in there." "Yes, burn the house!"
Yeah. Go outside and set the house on fire.
"If I can't kill it with this axe, and it kills me, you get my wife and son off this island, Jim," you say, your voice cracking as you continue towards the room. "You hear me?" Yeah, I do," James says and takes a step toward the front door. He stops and watches you as you slowly inch toward the bedroom. You are within a foot of the doorway now, and you are nearly hyperventilating. You stop and take a deep breath and let it out, trying to calm yourself. You lean forward into the room and look around. A quick scan of the room, and all you see is Tansas lying motionless in the center of the pentagram. There is nothing else in the room. You squint hard, trying to clear your eyes and refocus. There was something that came out of Tansas' chest. You and James saw it and ran from it, but where was it now? You think to yourself. You enter the room at the ready. You slowly drop to a knee and pull the bedspread back and look under the bed. There is nothing there. You inch closer to Tansas, and you can see large, bloody hoof prints. They lead from the pool of blood under Tansas over to a closet. There is a blood-soaked handprint on the closet doorknob. You swallow hard, and then ready the axe once again and head for the closet.
Is this where we find out the trunk was a portal to hell or something?
I don't know. You reach out with a trembling hand and grip the doorknob. You pause and take a breath, and then turn the knob and pull the door open. You yell as you swing the axe forward. You stop swinging the axe when you see that there is nothing in the closet but some clothes hanging from hooks. It bewilders you as you stare into the empty closet. How can this be? You think to yourself. You frantically look around inside the closet and see nothing. Your gaze ends up at the footlocker at the back of the closet.
Portal to hell.
Rich! James yells out, his voice startling you and causing you to jump back. Get in here! You yell out to him.
Don't open the box!
Well, we gotta open the box so we know, so for the story, so we know. A few moments later, James peeks his head in through the bedroom doorway. You kill it? Where is it? He asks. Come here, you yell at him. Where the hell is it? James asks as he cautiously walks over to you. Take this, you say, and hand James the axe. He grabs it tightly and looks around the room frantically. You reach down and grab the footlocker by a handle and slide it out of the closet. It feels very heavy. Is it in there? James screeches and raises the axe high. Ain't nowhere else it can be, you say. You place your hand on the handle of the footlocker and look at James for confirmation that he is ready. After a moment, he nods. You quickly open the top of the footlocker and step back. You and James gasp at what you see. Oh my God. Inside the footlocker is a shriveled up body of a human being. It is mummified in appearance. Its limbs are broken and is grotesquely contorted to fit in the locker. It looks old, like it has been in there for years, maybe a decade. The body lies atop books and trinkets. There also appears to be more bones of some sort, either animal or human, tucked away inside the footlocker. My God, you gasp as you take a step back. That ain't what we saw coming out of the dock, James says as he nervously looks around the room. Where the hell did that thing go? Ain't no way out of this room. You point to the bloody footprints on the floor. Tracks led to the closet, you say in shock. I don't know where it could have gone to. James almost looks like he is about to faint. He loses his strength and drops the axe to the ground. You immediately reach down and pick it up and hold it at the ready. You go slowly back out of the room. When you walk out onto the porch, the people that have been peering through the window are hunched over on the steps, being consoled by other villagers. Is it dead? John, who is sitting on top of the top step, asks. You saw it too? You ask, almost relieved that someone else saw what you and James did. John nods his head up and down. This thing came out of Tansas' chest, walked over to the closet, and went inside and shut the door behind it. My God, I couldn't believe my eyes, but Charlie and Ben saw it too. Is it dead? You shake your head back and forth and say, we checked the whole room. Ain't nothing in there anymore. How can that be? John asks and rises to his feet. I don't know, you answer. Let's board up this house as best we can. Take down some sheds if we need to for wood. Jim, you got a shotgun. Get it. Sun is about down. It's not enough time to head over to the mainland for the sheriff. I'll go in the morning at first light. We'll take shifts and stand guard around this house. No less than 5 or 6 people surrounding it all night long. What happened to the sun? The villagers almost have a moment of relief because of your semi-calm demeanor and rational orders. You find your wife in the group. She looks petrified. You immediately think of Michael and blurt out his name. You rush by everyone and sprint for your house. Marion follows, along with some others as well. Watch the house, you yell, calling several villagers to stop and turn their attention back to Tans's house. You and Marion rush to the front door. Michael, you yell out. Marion yells out his name again. Michael emerges from his room and looks confused. What? What's the matter? Oh, thank you, Marion says as she claps her hands together and looks up towards the ceiling. Where's Samael? You ask with urgency. Michael points to your bedroom. He's asleep in your bed. You rush down the hall and stop before the door. You place your ear to the door and listen. There is no noise. You open the door slowly as you see Samael lying on your bed. His eyes are closed and his breathing is slow. You quietly shut the door. What's the matter? Michael asks, sensing that something terrible has happened. Why do you have blood on you, Dad? I mean, everybody else knows the truth.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Everybody else knows.
Besides, earlier in this game, we told him, hey, you're getting to the age where I can tell you what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Dr. Tansas, you stammer. He did some kind of ritual or something. He's dead, but... What? Michael asks as the blood rushes out of his face. Something came out of his body. I can't tell you what it was because I honestly don't know. Michael stares at you as if he wants to ask more, but is too afraid to hear what you have to say. The thing is gone, or escaped, or... I don't know, Michael, you say to him. I honestly don't know. Michael's eyes well up with tears and he looks frightened. You immediately regret telling him the truth. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have told you. Yes, you should have. There's a thing on the island. You want your son to be safe.
And everyone else knows.
Yes.
He's gonna hear from somebody, if not from you.
Michael wipes the tears from his face and sucks in a breath and composes himself. I'm glad you did, he says. All of the townsfolk are going to take shifts tonight. If whatever it was that came out of the doctor comes back, an alarm will sound, you say to him. You can hardly believe what you're saying, but you saw it and know it's real. You continue. If you hear the alarm, you grab your mother and you both get to the boat. You hear? Yeah, Michael says meekly. You look at him with a seriousness he has never seen from you before. Michael, I need you to be strong. If something happens, you have to protect your mother at all costs. Do you understand? You ask him. Michael looks you in your eyes and nods. I do, Dad. I'll protect her. You nod and force a smile and reach out and place your hand on his shoulder and give it a reassuring squeeze. Marion is seated at her desk writing in her journal when you walk up to her. She stops and looks up at you. She looks tired and worried. You bend over and place your arms around her tightly from behind. You rest your chin on her shoulder and whisper, It will be okay. It's not okay. This seems to comfort her for a brief moment. She strokes your forearm gently. What happened today? She asks fearfully. I don't know, you answer. You notice she seems fearful again. We'll get through this, you say. Tomorrow I'll go get the sheriff and he'll remove the bodies and Samael will go live with relatives. If he has none, then he will be placed in an orphanage. Some family will adopt him and he'll have a decent life for a change. That poor child, Marion says, her voice trailing off. How are we going to tell him about his parents? We don't, you say with certainty. Let the sheriff tell him. We all been through enough. We don't have to be the ones to do that. I'm sorry, but I just don't have it in me right now to tell him what I did to his mother and what his father did to himself. Mary nods and looks sadly into your eyes. She brushes your cheek with her hand. I'm so sorry you had to do what you did. I'm so sorry you had to watch Bill. She can't speak anymore and looks away and wipes the tears that fall from her eyes. You stand upright and place your hands on the back of her shoulder and rub. It's all right. I'll get through this, you say with surprising assuredness. You just try not to stress yourself so much right now. You have enough to worry about with our baby on the way. Marion nods and tries to compose herself. You bend forward and kiss the top of her head. I know it'll be hard to sleep, but you turn in early and get some rest, okay? Mary nods and reaches up and pulls your hand from her shoulder and warmly kisses the back of it. I love you, she whispers. I love you, you say back to her. After a moment, you walk for the front door. I'll check on the others guarding the house. I'll work on a schedule with everyone so we got it covered all night. Please go rest and not worry. You sit on your porch with an oil lantern on low near your feet. It is very dark and you are bundled up on this cold night. You are deep in thought when movement over by the Tansas house causes you to sit upright. It is only one of the villagers. You let out an audible sigh of relief. You get up and grab the lamp as you enter your house. Well, hello, Mr. Wells, an unfamiliar voice says meekly. The voice came from the area that your wife uses to write in her diary next to the living room. You spin towards the direction the voice came from. You see Samael sitting at Marion's desk. There is a lamp on the desk near Samael that illuminates the small nook. It looks as if he is drawing on a sheet of paper. Oh, hello, Samael, you say to him. I didn't realize you were awake. It's late. Why aren't you asleep? I had a bad dream. Can I go home now and see my parents? I miss them, he says sadly. For a moment, you don't know what to say. Oh, well, they had to make an unexpected trip to the mainland. Someone there was in an accident and needed to be tended to by your father. They'll be back soon, I suppose. Immediately, you feel terrible. It's not his fault for what his parents were, you think to yourself. Okay. Samuel says and returns to scribbling on his paper. Is it all right if I stay up a little longer and finish my picture? He asks. Sure, you say.
Nope.
I know, this is bad. You walk over to the couch in the living room and set an oil lamp down on the table next to it and turn it off. I'll even sit with you until you're ready for bed. You sit down on the couch and lean your head back and stare up at the ceiling. You are exhausted. If I drift off, Samuel, and you're ready for bed, you just let me know, okay? You ask. Okay, Mr. Wells, Samuel answers as he continues to work on his picture. You glance at him out of the corner of your eye to make sure he is still at the desk, and you wearily close your eyes. You eventually drift off and dream. Images of your day flash through your nightmare in rapid succession. The Tansas by the fire pit, the doctor coming at you, Lilith cutting Bill's throat, you killing Lilith, hands ripping their way through Tansas' chest. That somehow doesn't wake you up, though. What wakes you up is something growling in your ear. You have heard many animals' growls before. Dogs, a coyote, a wolf, even a bear at a circus you went to many years ago near Portland. Nothing you have ever heard before comes close to the pure evilness of this sound. Your eyes snap open. Despite the sound you just heard, you don't jump off the couch. You are so gripped with fear that you discover you can't move. Your eyes can, though, and when they finally focus, you see something beside you on your right side, something so close to your ear that your eyes can't focus on it. It lets out another growl, then moves up from the couch next to you and looks down upon you. I don't want to see this next picture.
Oh! Voldemort?
Yeah, Voldemort with a nose job. It stands before you now. It is dark in nature and substance, and its lifeless black eyes stare deeply into yours. You shudder and gasp, but you still can't move your arms or legs. It is wearing a dark, tattered, hooded robe. It reaches its hand out and points its index finger at you, and then raises its hands to its lips, making a shushing sound. You can see the rough skin on the hands and the jagged nails. Then you immediately recognize it. It is the same hand from the thing that crawled out of Dr. Tansas earlier today. You want to scream and move, but all that escapes your lips is a gurgle. The thing smiles, and when its cracked lips open to reveal its teeth, you see sharp, jagged, white fangs. The thing turns its attention to Samuel, who is still at the desk with his back to you. He has his head propped up on his hand and elbow to keep from falling asleep. He is working on his drawing, oblivious as to what is happening behind him. The thing slowly and quietly glides across the floor towards Samuel. You try to muster all your strength and scream and warn him, but you still can't move or speak. You feel as if you have been fused to the couch. You can hear Samuel sniffing now. Is he crying? You think to yourself. Your eyes train towards to look at him. You watch him wipe tears from his face. The thing silently drifts up behind him. When it speaks, it sounds as if it has gravel in its throat. My, what a sad little boy. It is surprising to you that Samuel doesn't scream and bolt when the thing gently lays a hand on his shoulder. Who are you? Samuel asks. He seems startled, but not enough to flee from the monster. How is he not screaming, you think to yourself? Then you remember who his parents were, and you realize that the things this poor child must have seen because of them during his short time on Earth. The thing shushes him and says with surprising tenderness, "You have nothing to fear for me, Samuel. Your kind and loving parents sent me to look after you."
What?
Mama and Papa? Samuel asks innocently as tears stream down his face. I miss them, he says and bows his head slightly. The thing leans down close and places a hand on each of Samuel's shoulders and whispers into his ear. And they miss you, Samuel. Tell me, would you like to be with them? Oh gosh. Now we're gonna kill a child. Now we had Satanists, we had a thing popping out of a chest, now we're gonna kill a child. His words seem to cheer Samuel up. He looks over his shoulder at the thing and smiles with joy. Oh yes, sir, more than anything I would. The thing grins. They'll be so happy to see you. You can be with them in a matter of moments, Samuel, but first, you need to do something for me. I need you to grant me permission to enter your body. My body? Samael asks. Yes, the thing says. Only your soul can go to where your parents are now. My soul? You mean my parents are in heaven? Samael asks. Oh no. It's a place much, much nicer than heaven, little one, the thing says. And yes, your parents are at this place, waiting for you. They could not make the trip here to get you, so they sent me instead. Why do you need my body? Samael asks.
Good question.
I can move your soul on to the place where they wait for you, and then I need to use your body for something I would like to do, it says. What do you want to do with it? Samael asks again. The thing smiles and says, Now, Samael, that is nothing you should concern yourself with. Do you want to be with your parents or not? Yes, sir, I do, Samael answers. Do we have a deal then, Samael? The thing asks. Yes, sir, you may have my body, Samael answers again. Wonderful, the thing says. Now close your eyes and don't be frightened. When you next open them, you will gaze upon the faces of your mother and father. They will hug you tightly and never let you go. So now we're killing a child.
Yep.
The thing slowly wraps its arms around Samuel. Its dark robes seem to flow around them both, enveloping them. Samuel's eyes open wide and they roll back into his head. A moment later, he lets out a pained scream. You can finally speak. You let out a scream yourself. Mr. Wells? A voice calls out to you. You open your eyes and bolt upright off the couch. You see Samuel standing nearby, staring at you. Samuel? You blurt out as you scan the room looking for the monster. You were having a bad dream, I think. Nope.
Nope. Nope.
What, you say? It couldn't have been a dream, you think. It seems so real. You frantically search the room with your eyes, looking for that thing. There is nothing there but you and Samuel. Are you okay? You ask him. Yes, just tired, he answers. I'm going to go to bed now. Samuel turns and walks over to a seating chair that has blankets and a pillow and crawls onto it. He covers himself with a blanket. Good night, Mr. Wells, he says and rolls over so his back is facing you. You are still reeling from what appears to have been just a nightmare. You slowly regain your wits and finally answer him with, Good night, Samuel. As you walk towards your bedroom, you look back at Samuel one last time. He hasn't moved. So you enter your bedroom. You shut the door behind you, and then you press your ear to the door, listening for any noise at all. There is no noise. You back away from the door and stare at it for another minute. Then you grab a chair near the wash basin and place it at the back of it under the doorknob. Marion stirs and you walk over to the bed and quietly sit down on it. You look back toward the door and stare at it for another 20 minutes.